Hello, commercial art and illustration. So, this is yet another snow day that we have, but that doesn't mean that we can't progress a little bit in our logo design. And so, today I just wanted to, as you're still developing your ideas for your logos, is that some of you are still working on pencil and paper, but others are getting to work with the digital aspect of this assignment and bringing it into the art studio or whatever program that you wish to use. I did say that there is Photoshop available, or a version of Photoshop available in self-service that probably has a little bit better text tools. I have not had a chance to go in and see what that program has to offer. I was only made aware of it like a day or two ago, so I haven't done that yet. However, I did want to show you that there are some text tools available if you did not use a hand lettering, but there's ways of distorting text in Art Studio. So I just want to give you an example. I'm just going to use that like peppermint logo that we had from the other day. So let's just say I had the peppermint is that when I do type in here, I have a couple of options. Is that there is whatever font that you wish to have. There's a lot here. There's not a huge variety. Oh, there's papyrus. There's not a huge variety for you to choose from, but I think for this assignment, I think there's enough. So if I chose say Rockwell, I can choose regular, italic, and I think there's even an add shadow button, which I've never really tried, but what does that look like? Is that if I can I think there's some options here as far as how much it offsets, etc. These sliders are always kind of helpful. Um, yeah, where's the? So I think these little arrows here. So I wasn't even aware of this. So there's a little offset thing there that looks okay. I'm going to remove the shadow because if I wanted to do a shadow, I think I would just copy the layer instead. I think that would look much better. So what's interesting too here is that the colors that you see there's two colors. The secondary color would be the shadow color that you saw there. So this is say color 1 and then it says color 2. So if I wanted to have the shadow of say this really ugly green color, I would say yes and now add shadow and you can see how awful that looks. So I'm going to remove that and just say this is currently what I have. Now, what's going on here? I don't know why it's like cut off at the top. Anyway, I'm going to move past that because I want to show you some of the other features it has available. If I want to go back in there and sort of edit the text, I can just say edit current text layer, go in here, and then change it to maybe one of these other options that are available, etc. So I'm going to maybe do that and make this a little bit smaller. I don't know if it's a font that's cutting that letter off at the top or if it's just like an error in my program. So hopefully you don't have that problem. Anywho, we'll just say Optima bold italic because it's peppermint, and let's say I have that done. Now, if I wanted to really distort this, what you would have to do is kind of make this you'd have to rasterize that. And what that means is that you're turning this text layer into like a visual regular like art layer. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I think it's currently not great. So it's going to be a little bit easier to work with. So what I would do is that because if I wanted to go back and maybe add the peppermint, if I wanted to add the pop aspect of it and keep the same logo and same color, I would copy it. That was going to be the easiest thing for you to do. So I'm going to hit this little icon here. You see the little plus sign, and then there's the little plus with the box behind it. If I hit that, that's going to copy the existing layer, and you can see it even labels it copy one. So I'm going to turn the one layer off just by hitting the little eyeball icon and make sure I'm on the top layer that's currently visible. What I'm going to do now is hit distort, and if I hit distort, and even if I try to do any of these things, it's going to say, you're going to have to rasterize this first. And I'm like, oh, whoops. So I'm going to go to layer, and then I'm going to hit rasterize text. And now what that does is that it turned that layer into an image. And now if I go over here, you can see it no longer has the big T for the layer because it's now just the image of Peppermint Pop. And so I'd be able to distort this like I'd be able to distort any other image. So like let's say if I had... let's say if it was distort and I hit twirl or whatever, what I can do is hit preview here, and it's going to give me this really ugly, that's unlegible text. So a lot of these things, what you'd have to do is kind of mess around with them, dial them in, and you'd have to hit preview every time. And you can see some of these are really working, and some of these might actually be pretty good, but you're really gonna have to play around with it. This is currently awful, so I really need to get this pretty close to. There we go. Okay, so if I distorted it just a little bit, you can see it has a pretty big effect. Ugh. That's even worse. Okay, so you can see I'm pretty close to 0 and 100 for this, and it distorts it just like a little bit. So I can really start playing with like very specific numbers here and get it to be like slightly distorted but not crazy. Okay, so let's say if I had this and I needed to move this around or enlarge it to be able to work with, is that I'm then going to hit Edit, Transform Layer, and you can see at the top there that red, the Move, Scale, Rotate. That's probably going to be the easiest for me to work with. I can now pinch the screen, and I can now make it super small. I can rotate it very easily. I can make it larger just by spreading my fingers apart, just like you would with images on an iPhone or something like that. So let's say if I had that, there's other ways of distorting it as well. I can also hit Distort Layer, and that's going to create these like little shifty bar things at the bottom here, and I can distort it almost as if it's like on perspective or whatever. And so it's a little too vertical. I can't really see it, and then I might go back in and hit Transform again and kind of just make it like that. So let's say if I had that as my image. I think the color is really ugly here, so I would hit Adjust the Color and change it to something that's still a little bit more appropriate, bump up the saturation, and now we're starting to get somewhere. So a lot of those logos I showed you, what they had is that they had these outlines on them, these interior shadows, all of that stuff. What I could do is I could copy this layer now, and then I'm going to change the color of the one on the bottom. So I'm going to make sure I have the one on the bottom selected. I'm going to hit Hue, Saturation, maybe let's make it like a different color. We're going to make it lighter, and we're going to keep it pretty well saturated. And what I can do now is if I hit that top layer, just so I can see the two, you can kind of see it behind it. Not really. But I'm going to hit, I'm going to change the size of it again. And now you can see that I'm going to create, it's creating like a little bit of an outline for every layer. I think that kind of looks okay. I don't know. I think in Illustrator and some of those other programs, there's ways of putting like strokes around images so it's a little less clunky. This is like a little clunky. I don't know if that's an option in here. So for example, if I created, let's get rid of that, go back to the top layer. I'm now just sort of playing around with the program to see if there's things that I just haven't seen before, because I haven't played around with the text tools in here to a tremendous degree, and I'm wondering if there's ways of. I wonder if I can maybe go back to the text tool. See, this is where it's good to have the original text, because there's some other layers that are available here. Let's say layer, rasterize text, border. That sounds promising. Add border. Okay, so it's going to rasterize it. So add border. Okay, I'm going to go back to the text that's already rasterized. Border, add border. There we go. I'm just going to hit the preview to see what it looks like. I don't know what I'm supposed to be seeing right now. Okay. Oh, it's putting a border on like the whole layer on the background. That looks not good. Okay, that's not what I was thinking it was going to be. Edge detect. Maybe. Let's try that. I'm going to hit preview, see what it does. That's, okay, colors. Background color. I feel you can see, kind of see it did something. So let's just give this a second here. I'm gonna say preview again. See if that does. Oh boy. Okay. Background color, white. Preview. Smooth this. Yeah, I have like no idea. I've never actually tried this before. Very clearly, I'm gonna apply and see what that looks like with. I'm gonna move this layer on top and let's use a background color to see. I think it did something, but not sure what. Okay, not exactly what I was really looking for, but I think that's because I also moved that layer around a little bit. So I'm going to see if there's more things available in that Photoshop program for illustration and things like that, and if you might want to use it for text distortion for this final project here. But I wanted to make you aware of like some of the things that were available, and like I said, I'm really messing around with a lot of this stuff, so feel free to experiment within the program. I mean, it is a program that's a $5 program. It's not $40 a month subscription to Photoshop, so there are limitations in it. And this is also a sketchbook program and not specifically like a text sort of logo creator program as well. But we're more concerned about the ideas of our logos. So we'll see what you came up with. And based on what you've already come up with the previous assignment, I don't think that this program is going to hamper you from seeing, from allowing you to create great artwork. So I'm going to give you time to work on that today. I'll post more specifics in Schoology as far as today, but I just wanted to go over some of the things that are available from a text feature in the program. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to message me on Schoology. Thanks.